Our Badlands video today. So I'll be showing you mountain range using markers, pencils, maybe some Sharpie, and just talk about layering and textures and how values can intermix, and just kind of explore that mountain range that you guys are staying by today. So we'll get started. So the first thing I'm doing is finding an image to work from. You guys could either look outside or you could take a photo. I'm doing a screenshot and have that as an option. And then I'm gonna see if there's another one that I like anymore. And I'm gonna screenshot this one as well. So you notice that the Badlands, they have all those mountain ranges with the stripes across them. And that's what I'm gonna focus on today, is really accenting the stripes that are from sediment and where the water used to be. We're doing a wide drawing. So first thing I do is take my pencil and I start sketching out where I'm gonna put the mountains. So the bigger the mountain, the bigger the range, and I'm kind of twirling my fingers as I go. By twirling my fingers, I'm getting my pencil like super relaxed, and I'm able to just kind of make those jaggedy edges that the mountain range would have. And I'm just kind of doing an abstract idea based on the images that I selected, but you could look outside, or if you have photos, you could also do it from that. And I just keep going, creating more layers. So obviously the mountains up close are going to be much larger. And then as we get further and further back, we start adding smaller and smaller ranges. Again, I'm just adding little soft lines with my pencil, and I'm twirling my fingers as I go. So it's just soft, and that way I get these kind of cool organic shapes. They're not exact, but they're kind of in the style of the mountain range. So it's going to be a little abstract, and that's pretty much it for the prep work. Now we're going to pick our colors, 3 to 5 colors, and we're going to start with, I'm going to use a brown, a lighter brown, a purple, a red, and a light tan. So you can use any colors you want. It's abstract, but we're going to accentuate the lines of sediment from the water over these areas over time. So each of those lines that you saw on the photo or in the mountains themselves, you'll see that they're kind of lines across or horizontal on the mountain range, and those are just different sediments from different type of geological formations, and that's what's giving them those colors. So we're going to create a pattern to accentuate those lines and those patterns. So I did a dark one to start, and I'm only staying in one mountain range at a time. So each little mountain has its own color scheme and its own little pattern. So I'm going to kind of just do the same thing with my markers, as twirling it as before and creating these layers. And the reason I'm going over it slowly is so that, do you see how it's kind of creating the same lines or like texture as the mountains had themselves? That's what we're trying to create here. And then I'm going to start in with some other colors, and I picked purple and red, even though those aren't necessarily like really the colors you see. When I looked at the photos of the mountain ranges, that's the thing that stood out to me. It was they had these like purples and reds in them. They're very subtle, but because it's abstract, we're going to make them more pronounced and kind of exaggerate the colors. So we're layering it so that it looks like the same rings of formation on the mountains in our photo or our drawing. So we're going to keep layering and layering, and I think that there were only a few smaller lines of dark colors, so I'm mostly sticking with that light color. And then I'm also using the thin side of the marker to create thin accent lines, and there's a variety of thicknesses to the mountain range and how those colors interact. Some of them are thin, some of them are thick, and so that's kind of what we're creating on our drawing. So just keep going, and once you complete the pattern, then you're just going to start creating a new pattern. And you're kind of making those lines kind of do those same things. You can fill in the gaps later, but you kind of want to like twirl your fingers as you're going with your markers and going up and down to exaggerate those sediment lines. You're just going to keep going just like that, creating a new pattern as you go. So it goes from the dark brown to the light brown to my purple, then more of my tan, and then a little bit of red. So you're using the fat side of your marker, the thick side of your marker. You could use any marker, it doesn't have to be a Tombow, but you're using that thick side and then only doing the details with that thin tip. And then as you can see, I'm going to speed up the process on time lapse. So we go a little bit quicker, but here we are doing the same thing, pattern, pattern, dark, dark, light, light, and then adding in some of our reds and our purples as accents. Then we go to the smaller mountain ranges and we do the same thing, and we repeat the same pattern and the same process on those, but we're adding thinner lines now because we're getting further away. And the further away we get, the thinner our lines get. So in the very back mountain ranges, we're only using the thinnest of our markers. In the middle, we're using both, and in the front, we're using the thickest part of our markers. So right now, we're only focusing on the horizontal lines and the lines that go across the mountains. I filled in my sky with a nice light blue. You could use any color you want. It could be sunset. Now we're going to go back in and we're going to do the mountain ranges from top to bottom. So we're adding in all of the vine lines from where the water at the top of our mountain range is as it drops down. That's how you're getting those lines into your mountain range. So those are all of the like vertical lines, and we're adding those, and we're doing those super thin. And in the front mountains, we're doing them a little bit thicker so that the front mountains, we really see the definition of those mountains. So first we do horizontal, then we go back in and we do vertical. And you want to use the thinner lines to do the vertical ones, and then only fill in where you think it's necessary. And I'm doing the light brown. You could use a Sharpie if you wanted to, but that's how our mountains are going to look, abstract.